I'm the Irish guy, and right, today I'm going to annoy you. I'm gonna go through every Premier League club and find one current player who is too good for your club. Come on, lads, there is no shame in admitting when you have a player who is too good for you. I know it's tough to hear, but these players right now belong at a higher level. Because it's nearly Valentine's Day and I'm going to be spending that evening begging my scarf to kiss me, I'm going to play Cupid and matchmake each player with a better team. The perfect club they should be at right now, a team they would thrive at. And I realize you're all gonna react to this as if I have just suggested that you go ahead and eat scrambled egg off your nan's coffin. Right, let's go. Arsenal, William Saliba. Look, I'm not saying that Arsenal are not already a very good team. Obviously they are, but let's be real. Mikel Arteta collects trophies about as often as I kiss monkeys at the zoo. I was banned before lockdown, I haven't been back since.
I miss you, Elmo!
Look, I would hate to break up the Gabriel Squared centre-back partnership, and see if Saliba just put his middle name on the back of his shirt, you'd literally have Gabriel playing beside Gabriel in what would be a confusingly scary centre-back partnership. Look, Saliba is one player in this Gunner squad who I think has a monstrously world-class ceiling. Likes of Declan Rice, Martin Odegaard, Bukayo Saka. Top players, sure, even though the first one on that list, oh boy, would I love to see him choke on some toast. They're top-level players, but they don't look out of place at a team like Arsenal. But Saliba, he's the modern day Rafa Varane. Does anyone think peak Varane was at the level of a team who won an FA Cup every 5 years? No, he won 4 Champions Leagues instead, representing the biggest club on planet Earth. Honestly, Saliba screams Real Madrid. Aston Villa, Marco Asensio. When watching the FA Cup match at Villa Park this weekend, I thought it was pretty depressing to hear the commentary team drone on and on and on about Marcus Rashford as if he was Snow White himself. The amount of fuss made over Villa signing this burnt out Manchester United deadbeat, you'd swear Unai Emery had just unveiled a skeleton of Pele. For me, I was far more excited to witness the pure perfection of seeing Marco Asensio in English football. It's kinda nuts. Seeing this 3-time Champions League winner in an Aston Villa shirt, it is bonkers. It's like when we saw Carlos Tevez at West Ham. And yeah, the English media are just focused and obsessed with some nightclub-loving dingbat who is coasting off media goodwill for feeding some 12-year-olds. Honestly, if Rashford ever wants to get back in the newspaper good books, all he has to do is upload an Instagram selfie of him cramming a cheese toasty into a hungry orphan's mouth. But he's not too good for Villa Park. No. But Asensio is. To me, he's already the best player I've ever seen in an Aston Villa shirt. And yes, I include Jack Grealish in that. You don't play nearly 300 times for Real Madrid during that club's best period in their history since the 50s if you were not brimming with world-class ability. I don't know where it went wrong at PSG. I don't know if the guy was turning up late for training because he was constantly having morning picnics underneath the Eiffel Tower. I don't know, but what I do know is that he is a monster player who Villa are so lucky to have. I mean, I remember when everyone thought it was a coup when Villa signed a washed-up potato like Coutinho. No. Getting a 29-year-old Asensio, that is just wow. If I was to matchmake him with a perfect move, it would be, he should be a Man City's team, not Aston Villa. So honestly, Villa fans, over the next few months, just ignore the Rashford loan. No. That's like being handed down your older sister's unwanted Barbie doll. No. Drink in the Asensio loan because that's like getting an iPhone for free. Bournemouth, Huijsen. Well, this is weird. I just drooled over a world-class talent who had his pick of representing either Spain or the Netherlands. What? Asensio's last name is Williamson. Well, here's another one. Someone who's actually played for Holland under 16s, under 17s, under 18s, and under 19s, and now has just switched to Spain under 21s. If I was Dutch, seeing this 19-year-old's world-class performance levels at Bournemouth so far, I would be this close to biting off a pig's ear. Because can you imagine a young Dean Huijsen learning under a very senior Van Dijk? It would be the most beautiful and epic apprenticeship in the world. But now, instead we're going to be treated to the sight of Spain's best centre-back being called Dean. Dean! Okay, I just know there'll be a few Deans watching this video. In which case, if your name is Dean, start waving at your phone. Hello? Oh, this feels like an episode of Bear in the Big Blue House. But yeah, I'm sorry, if your name is Dean, I am also going to assume that you are some boring geek who picks his nose behind the counter at HMVs. It doesn't really have a Spanish aura now, does it? Dean! But this guy is the real deal. This is someone we're going to be seeing getting nominated for future Ballon d'Ors. Honestly, this guy's future is Barcelona. Bournemouth are silently sitting on an absolute world-class gem. Brentford, Bryan and Mbeumo. Lads, this does feel a bit mean because has Bryan and Mbeumo really outgrown Brentford that much? I don't know. He's a very decent 25-year-old winger who's improved his numbers a lot since Ivan Toney left, but I don't know. He's at the level of a top half Premier League club, which Brentford could be. I don't know. If he left, I don't know. do well at a team like Monaco. So I suppose he is too good for the Bees, I guess. Brighton, Joao Pedro. Look, I realize I am the only one who's been screaming about how good I think Joao Pedro is. I really is that, okay? Nobody has really rated this 23-year-old Brazilian international striker all that much. But I think if he was given a big money monster move to a top team, then he would truly explode. Like Diogo Jota when he left Wolves. I mean, come on, 20 goals in 40 games last season for Brighton and Hove Albion. Am I the only one who thinks that is mightily impressive? I think Pedro belongs at Chelsea, leading the line at Stamford Bridge. Christ above, Newcastle United were trying to sign him a week before they bought Isak. Pedro's really good. He is. Chelsea Cole Palmer, obviously. Chelsea fans can't even grumble about this one. You know it's true. Cole Palmer is a ridiculously brilliant baller who has 39 goals and 21 assists crammed into just 72 games for Chelsea. For someone who had barely burped a single goal in English football before this move, it's kind of crazy how insane he's been at Stamford Bridge. But, yeah, of course he's too good for this Chelsea side. Chelsea are a club who haven't won the title in 8 years. This is not one of the best teams in the world. Christ above, they're in the Europa Conference League, a Mickey Mouse tournament which was only created 3 years ago to give the pig farmers from Kazakhstan and Moldova something to do on Thursday nights instead of cuddling with their morbidly obese wives. Chelsea have already admitted Palmer is too good for that level because they left him out of their squad for the group games. They know that asking this England star to share the pitch with Shamrock Rovers would be overkill. Putting Palmer in the Conference League is a bit like asking Canelo to share a ring with Jake Paul. I mean, he can spend 4 rounds just sitting on a stool in the corner of the ring, watching Breaking Bad on his phone, and he'd still win the fight. Palmer is at the level of peak Manchester City. If you put him in Pep Guardiola's team next season, he would be the best player. He was the next star of the Etihad, so tell me, what is he doing at Chelsea? It's like the reverse De Bruyne. I mean, Pep was so protective of Phil Foden as a kid, telling the world all the way back in 2019, when Phil was a teenage bench warmer, that he wouldn't sell him for even £500 million. Yeah, Palmer has just as much ability as Foden, if not more, and yet he was sold for less than a tenth of that sum. They were willing to sell him to Brighton. Why? Why? Did Cole blow snots onto Pep's lunch? It's crazy. Crystal Palace, Eberechi. Look, I know a lot of people will say that Mark Gay is too good for Crystal Palace, but nah. He's just the latest English hotshot whiz kid who's getting big money bids launched in his face. But that doesn't mean much. I remember when Andy Carroll had every major club in England chasing him for massive money whilst at Newcastle United, when really those highly paid scouts should have been focusing on a young Harry Kane instead. See, I'm not convinced with Gay's hype, so I'll go with Eberechi. I feel sorry for him. Both he and Elise were utterly electric at Sellers Park last season. One gets a dream move to Bayern Munich after having both Chelsea and Manchester City begging him back, whilst the other one is more ignored than Bouvie on Tinder. I think Eze is at the level of an Arsenal, where ironically he began his footballing career before they dumped him when he turned 13. Sounds very Philip Schofield. I mean, nothing. I didn't say anything. Everton, Jordan Pickford. Again, people will be screaming that Jared Branthwaite is supposed to be too good for Everton, but again, calm down, okay? No, instead, one player who is too good for Everton and always has been is Jordan Pickford. Lads, this 30-year-old is the undisputed England #1 goalkeeper and has been for the bulk of a decade. I think ever since Carlo Ancelotti left the club, Pickford has been too good. And I think he should have forced a move that summer, because if he had, he'd probably now be Arsenal #1. Nowadays, I think he should chuck in a transfer request and squeak a move to Chelsea. This is someone who can often look insane, like he's just come from tickling squirrels in the car park. This is someone who looks like he is dumb enough to think that he can chat to cheese. I mean, draw a smiley face on an apple, and this fella will probably think he's landed a new girlfriend. Honestly, I know he seems like he's got nothing between the ears, but he is a quality goalkeeper and should be playing in European competition. The fact that his European career consists of just 3 Europa League matches, the fact that he's never ever won a match in Europe ever, when West Ham have won a whole European competition, it's just crazy. Fulham, Anthony Robertson. Look, there's not many Fulham players that I think are above the level of mid-table mediocrity, but if I had to pick one, maybe left back Anthony Robinson. Maybe he could belong at a top 4 team, maybe even Liverpool. Maybe. But no, he's not world class or anything. Calm down, America fans. Shouldn't you be too busy booing Taylor Swift? Ipswich Town, Liam Delap. First of all, Calvin Phillips should be ashamed that he's not the answer for Ipswich Town, considering he's the most high-profile player in the squad. But look, I will go for the obvious one and say Liam Delap. I'll be honest, when this kid first burst on the scene, I thought he was some oafish, less talented Peter Crouch. I mean, come on, I had a hard time believing that Rory Delap, the king of throw-ins at Stoke, could spawn a generational, sensational talent. Just, no. Liam Delap wasn't exactly coming out of a special gene pool, but he's been so good leading the line at Ipswich. I'm starting to question whether Rory's wife was having sneaky sleepovers at Van Nistelrooy's house 20 years ago. Delap has everything, and I think he's just one in a handful of current Premier League players who will one day squeak into the 100 goal club. Delap is good enough for Spurs? Leicester City, Bilal Khannouss. Okay, it doesn't take much to stand out in this horrible Leicester side. Let's go with our 20-year-old Morocco international midfielder, Bilal Khannouss. He's been decent, a good box-to-box attacking midfielder, but honestly, this Leicester team is rubbish. Liverpool, Mo Salah. Liverpool look like the best team in the world. How do you possibly find a player who is too good for that? I suppose maybe Salah, maybe. I mean, he is an absolute freak of a player, and he is someone who deserves more than to win just the second Premier League title of his career a few weeks before he turns 33. I mean, maybe Salah should have spent the last 5 years of his career at Real Madrid, right? But no, I'm sorry. It's too hard to find one for Liverpool right now because they're too good. Man City, Rodri. Again, how do you find a player who is too good for Manchester City? Considering at their best, they are the most elite side in the world. Look, I'm not going to pick Erling Haaland here. No, I'm going to pick Rodri because the Spanish midfielder has proven that this man is holding the City team together. And when he's not there, they splutter and choke like your grandma eating shreddies on the loo. Rodri probably belongs at Real Madrid. Come on, he's the current Ballon d'Or winner. Watching his team sit 5th in the league in February? Right now, yes. He's too good for this club. Man United, Bruno Fernandes. It is the obvious answer, and this has been the answer for years. But Bruno Fernandes' career has been gobbled up and spoiled by making the wrong move. This is someone who has nearly 300 appearances for Manchester United. That sounds great, but it's been for a Man United side who've had the worst 5 years they've had in decades. This was a midfield superstar in Portugal. He goes to Old Trafford, and yes, his numbers have been great. He's been the main man at one of the biggest clubs in the world. But I don't think people really appreciate how good he could have been. Can you imagine if he'd been picked up at Manchester City in 2020, suddenly playing in a winning side, brimming with confidence? He would have chalked up outrageous assists, scored audacious goals, playing alongside other world stars. I genuinely believe Bruno has the talent to be at Man City and play the De Bruyne role. I think that move would have cemented him as a world-class player, but instead, he's being dragged down by this Old Trafford mess, and now people just see him as a whiny sewer rat with menstrual cramps. I think he's too good for all of this. Newcastle, Alexander Isak. Alexander Isak is too good for Newcastle United. He is. He's a world-class specimen, another beast of a striker. The club's best centre-forward since Alan Shearer. By a million miles. Honestly, it's not even close. He is an elite finisher with bags of skill. And for the Magpies to have this Sweden superstar at 25, it is wild. Speaking of which, how does Sweden keep producing such elite world-class strikers? Henrik Larsson, Zlatan Ibrahimovic, and now yet another one who's going to be one of the best in the world. Do young Swedish strikers just get chucked into football academies and are told to eat a breakfast that consists of sugar, spice, and everything nice? Well, Larsson and Ibrahimovic both wound up at Barcelona. You just know that the new camp is in Isak's future too. Nottingham Forest, Morgan Gibbs-White. Look, Nottingham Forest having an excellent season. So right now, Morgan Gibbs-White currently occupies the top 4. He is currently at the level of a Champions League midfielder, right? And yeah, he belongs at the Champions League. MGW would absolutely cook in Europe. For example, Morgan Rogers just belted in a Champions League hat-trick. Yeah, Gibbs-White is better than Rogers. This is someone who honestly should be at a team like Arsenal? Southampton, Aaron Ramsdale. Southampton are right now, officially, as it stands, the worst team in Premier League history. And their goalkeeper is someone who nearly won the Premier League title as Arsenal's number 1. Look, Aaron Ramsdale has had a funny few years because let's be real. He was better than the level of that awful Sheffield United team that went down, but he also wasn't as good as the title challenging Arsenal side would suggest, and he's not the worst keeper in the league now either. This is someone who should be playing for a team who has aspirations to finish 10th. He's a middle of the road, lukewarm goalkeeper who honestly belongs at a Fulham. Tottenham, Mathys Tel. Tottenham are in complete another free fall. Come on, booed out of 2 competitions in a week. They've lost 8 of the last 11 league matches. Are sitting 14th in the league halfway through February, and yet have one of the best young players in the world on their books. Mathys Tel is one of the most exciting teenage players on the planet, and Spurs have somehow fluked taking him on loan from Bayern Munich. He's legit. Christ, if he just scored in his Tottenham debut, this is a future France international star. Give it 5 years and I reckon he'll be representing Real Madrid. West Ham, Lucas Paqueta. Look, there's a couple of players you could choose for West Ham, but if it weren't for Lucas Paqueta's problems off the pitch, then he'd already be a Man City player by now. We know that. And look, when they were both at Lyon, Paqueta was the more established Brazil international midfielder. Out of both he and Bruno Fernandes. The fact he's 27 and playing for a struggling West Ham, it looks weird. I think he belongs back at a major club like AC Milan. Wolves, Joao Gomez. Joao Gomez is a 23-year-old Brazilian international midfielder, linked with some of the biggest clubs in the world. To see someone who was once a Flamengo mega talent playing for a pretty average Wolves, it looks odd. I think he belongs at a Liverpool. Anyway, that's the interview. Let me know in the comments. What do you think? All right, let me know in the comments. No, am I wrong? Am I right? Let me know in the comments. What player is too good for your club? Let me know in the comments below. If you think, don't forget to like, share, subscribe as always. I'll talk to you in a while.